Greetings, Warriors fans. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got a lot to discuss, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with everything we've got for you. I want to dive straight into it, because the Game 5 performance was nothing short of disappointing. Our Warriors had a rough outing on the road, and now the Rockets have us in a 3-1 hole. They're going to come out with energy and youth, fired up by the home crowd, with everything on the line. The way they've been playing, you can bet they'll give it everything they've got. On the flip side, we can't ignore how underwhelming we were in that game. We started strong, with an unexpected pass from one player to another, and that gave us the first points of the game. But after that, things just spiraled out of control. In the third quarter, the coach made a call to substitute in some players with just 5 minutes remaining, and at that point, it was already too little, too late. Our top scorers in the game were two players who scored 8 points each, and then another who managed 13, but it was a silent 13. It didn't have the impact we needed to shift the momentum. From there, it all went downhill. But here's the interesting part. Our reserves gave us a glimpse of hope. They came in with a relentless energy, going on a remarkable 25-4 run that really put the pressure on the Rockets. The opposing team had to bring their starters back in, and while that moment gave us some spark, it wasn't enough. The game was already slipping away by then. This is the kind of energy we want to see, not the lackluster performance we saw from the starters. I got to give credit to the guys who came off the bench. They showed real grit and forced the opposing team's hand. Unfortunately, the starters are just not there mentally or physically. It was embarrassing. Now, the Rockets are heading back home for Game 6 on Friday night, and you can sense that they've gained a bit of hope. They got a real chance to claw their way back into this series, and it's a tough pill to swallow. We're going to have to come out with everything we've got in that Game 6 if we want to avoid a Game 7. The question is, can we bounce back from such a disheartening loss in Game 5? It reminds me of a time we faced a tough opponent, took a big loss on the road, and then somehow turned things around in the next game. We have to dig deep, but this time, things feel a little different. The opponent is not the same. I'm sure many of you feel the same way as me right now, like we're on the edge of something crucial. I've been following this team for a long time, and while it's my first time here, my passion is undeniable. We need to approach this game with the mentality of a must-win, and that's the kind of analysis I'm bringing today. Let's talk about what happened in Game 5, starting with the incident that has everyone talking, a moment that reverberated across the league, making its mark. I'm sure you've all seen the footage. A battle down in the paint, one player pushing another, getting under their skin. The Rockets didn't like that. And then, boom, another player gets involved, and the scuffle turns into a real confrontation. That's the kind of intensity we want to see from our team. The reserves brought that fire, and it was what we needed. No suspensions or anything crazy, but it's a reminder that aggression can fuel a team when it's channeled the right way. I love seeing players with that kind of heart, players who won't back down when things get heated. I don't think the Rockets truly understand that kind of determination, and it's that same energy we need to show moving forward. That's the stuff that fires me up. But what we don't want to see is what happened next. We were tied in the game at one point, and I'm not even going to go into the details of the numbers here. Let's just say it was 66-66, and from that point forward, the Rockets started to slowly pull away. We couldn't buy a shot. We were turning the ball over too much. One of our players had a terrible performance, visibly shaken by the pressure. We couldn't get anything going, and the points just kept adding up for the Rockets. 24 points, then 38, then 54, and suddenly, we were looking at a 16-point deficit with no response from us. At that moment, it was pretty clear our team wasn't going to come back. And then, during halftime, the talk was all about how we had no hope left. But the reserves did give us something to cheer for. The bench came in with renewed energy and managed to close the gap a little. But it was too little too late. We ended up losing the game 131-116, and while the final score doesn't paint the full picture, we only managed to score 24 points in the first quarter while giving up 40. Giving up 40 points in a quarter is unacceptable. Then, in the second quarter, we let up 36 points. Just absurd. Yes, we won the final quarter by 12 points, but it doesn't matter when the damage had already been done. The reserves were playing hard, but it was already too late. The starters came back into the game, and the result was still the same. What really gets me, though, is how poorly the starters played. 40 points between them? That's just embarrassing. Turnovers, missed shots, lack of defense. It was a mess all around. Yet, we have to give credit where it's due. The reserves came in and fought. But why is it that we're seeing players like Jonathan Kuminga stuck on the bench? He couldn't even get a few minutes in a meaningless game. Is he dealing with an injury? Is there some kind of issue with him and Steve Kerr? I have no clue. All I know is that he didn't even make it to the court in the last game, and he didn't play in this one either. I didn't even see him on the bench. What's going on? There's clearly something behind the scenes that we're not aware of. It's frustrating, to say the least. The Rockets deserve some credit for their performance. 4 of their 5 starters scored in double digits, and they got off to a strong start with Sengun and Green making a real impact early on. Thompson hit some key shots and dunks, and the Rockets executed their game plan effectively. If you look at the stats from Games 3 and 4, you'll see the difference: free throws. They focused on getting to the line, and in those games, they shot 60% and 64%. In Game 5, however, they shot an impressive 85%, hitting 32 of 38 attempts. We, on the other hand, shot just 68%. Yes, we hit more three-pointers, but we gave up 17 additional points at the free throw line. That's what ultimately cost us the game, allowing the Rockets to get easy points at the line. And as much as we've struggled in the paint, it was our inability to defend the Rockets' free throws that really sealed our fate. So what's next? We got to win Game 6 at home. It's simple. Win that game, and we can shift the momentum. We don't want to go back to Houston down 3-2 with their crowd behind them. It's make or break. We have to show up at the Chase Center on Friday night and get the job done. If we don't, a Game 7 on May 4th is going to be a nerve-wracking situation that I'm not sure we'll be able to handle. But for now, all I can think about is the next game. Let's take care of business at home. We can do this, Warriors fans. Now, as we prepare for Game 6, the Warriors face an incredibly crucial moment. We all know the stakes. A win, and we have a chance to turn this series back around. A loss, and we're looking at elimination. But we've been here before. The Warriors have faced adversity time and time again, and it's in these moments that they often rise to the occasion. We've witnessed some of the most intense comebacks in NBA history, and while this may feel different, there's still a glimmer of hope if we can summon the right energy and focus. But here's the thing. The Rockets are not going to let up. They've got their backs against the wall, and they're hungry for that series-clinching victory. They've shown that they can hang with the Warriors, and they've had a lot of success with their game plan so far. The thing about Houston is that they're a young team with plenty to prove, and they've already shown that they can thrive in a high-pressure situation. You got guys like Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, and Kevin Porter Jr. who have proven they can take over a game. Green is explosive, and Sengun has the ability to dominate in the paint. Then you've got Porter Jr., who's a talented playmaker and could drop some huge shots when it matters most. They've got the firepower, and they're only getting better with experience. However, this is where we need to remember the Warriors' championship pedigree. We're a team with 3 championships in the last 6 years, with a core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. That's a trio that's been to the finals multiple times and knows exactly how to handle the pressure of these situations. It's not just about the talent on the floor, but the mental fortitude that we've developed over the years. If we're going to push this to a Game 7, it's going to take every ounce of experience and skill we have. One of the biggest concerns going into Game 6 is the health of the team. Curry has been playing through an ankle issue, and Thompson has had his own injury struggles. Draymond Green has been dealing with a knee injury, which has affected his mobility on defense. These injuries can't be ignored, and it's something that's been a factor throughout the series. The Warriors have always prided themselves on their depth, but injuries are starting to take their toll. We've seen it on the court. Players are clearly more cautious when making cuts or taking certain risks. The key for the Warriors in Game 6 is not only to rely on their stars, but to see their role players step up. Players like Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole need to be more than just spectators. Wiggins, in particular, needs to find his rhythm and become that defensive force we know he can be. Poole, meanwhile, has been inconsistent but has shown glimpses of brilliance. The Warriors need him to find a shooting touch and give us that offensive spark off the bench. But it's not just about the players on the court. It's also about the adjustments that Steve Kerr makes as a coach. Kerr has been brilliant in the past with his ability to make changes on the fly, whether that's altering rotations, calling timely timeouts, or making crucial play calls. He's the kind of coach who understands the dynamics of a playoff series and knows when to take risks and when to play it safe. If Kerr can adjust to the Rockets' strategies, it could be the difference between advancing or going home. The Warriors need to come out with more intensity, more focus, and a sense of urgency right from the opening tip. They can't afford to let another first quarter slip away like they did in Game 5. That's where Houston had the advantage. They came out aggressive and seized control early. The Warriors need to flip the script, come out firing on all cylinders, and make a statement from the jump. In addition to all of this, let's not forget about the Warriors' defense. The defense is where we've seen the most inconsistency in this series. While the Rockets are a high-scoring team, they're also a team that can be rattled by defensive pressure. We saw that in Game 4, when the Warriors turned up the heat in the second half and stifled the Rockets' offense. The Warriors need to get back to that style of defense in Game 6. Constant pressure, closing out on shooters, and not allowing easy layups in the paint. One of the keys to success has been disrupting the Rockets' offense early, making it difficult for them to run their sets, and forcing them into tough shots. That's something we've seen from the Warriors when they're at their best, relentless defense, but with the offensive firepower to back it up. We also need to talk about the importance of shooting efficiency. Curry has been solid, but he hasn't been the explosive force we know he can be. Part of that is because the Rockets have been defending him well, throwing multiple bodies at him, and forcing him to work for every shot. Curry is an incredible player, but even he needs help from his teammates. Thompson has shown flashes of his old self, but he needs to find his rhythm. He's been cold at times during this series, and the Warriors can't afford for him to be absent in such a critical game. The Warriors have lived and died by the three-pointer, but they need to get better at working inside, too. In Game 5, the Warriors settled for too many threes and didn't attack the basket with the same urgency. That needs to change in Game 6. We need to see a more balanced attack, getting inside, drawing fouls, and getting to the free throw line while also knocking down open shots from beyond the arc. On a night that saw little to smile about for Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, the Golden State Warriors were handed a humbling defeat by the Houston Rockets in the 5th game of their Western Conference playoff series. Despite being considered the backbone of the Warriors' hopes, Curry and Butler had lackluster performances that seemed to embody the struggles of their team throughout the game. Both players were kept scoreless in the first quarter. It was clear early on that Houston was not only ready but determined to take control. The Rockets wasted no time in asserting their dominance, quickly building a commanding lead. At one point, they were up by as much as 30 points, leaving the Warriors in a state of disbelief. From the bench, Curry and Butler, usually the first to lead their team back into the game in times of trouble, appeared more like spectators than competitors. They could only watch as their teammates were completely outclassed by the Rockets on both ends of the floor. It was a disjointed performance for Golden State, whose defense was porous, and their offense sputtered without the usual spark from their star players. Houston's offensive onslaught was spearheaded by a balanced effort across the roster. The Rockets found success not only through their scoring, but also with an efficient defensive scheme that made life difficult for Curry and Butler. The two Warriors stars, normally able to carry their team when it matters most, couldn't find any rhythm. By the time the final whistle blew, the Rockets had secured a 131-116 victory, and with it, reduced the Warriors' series lead to 3-2. This defeat was a significant blow for Golden State, who had hoped to take a commanding 3-1 advantage back to their home court. Instead, they will now face a must-win situation in Game 6, scheduled for Friday at the Chase Center in San Francisco. As the series shifts back to the Bay Area, the Warriors will need to quickly regroup and find a way to unleash the offensive firepower that has defined their success over the years. Curry and Butler, who have proven themselves time and again as clutch players, will be under immense pressure to lead their team back to form. With the series now on the line, both players and the Warriors as a whole will need to step up if they are to avoid what would be a stunning playoff exit at the hands of the Rockets. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.